Welcome back, guys. It's craft time. In today's video, we are working on my daughter's wheelchair costume. Let's go ahead and get started. Halloween is my favorite holiday. My mom always made my costumes, and so I enjoy doing that for my daughter. She happens to be in a wheelchair, so honestly, it just makes it more fun. The bigger, the better. And this year we are making her a winged sprint car. My boyfriend's very into racing. We enjoy watching racing, and she loves watching it with him, like the loud noises and like the vibrations that come from the speakers. So we are making her the winged sprint car, and we're giving her the number 57 because he is a huge Larson fan and has been for many years. To get started with this, let me say I'm not making a how-to video. I am just going to walk you through how I did it so that you can adapt it best to your situation, or if you're just curious on how it was made. Everybody's wheelchair or wagon or whatever is different, so me giving you specifics is not really going to be helpful to you unless you happen to have the exact size and brand of my daughter's wheelchair. So to start out, I just collected a lot of cardboard. I started out with a TV box, and I am going to be working on the front of the car first, which is more of like a big triangle. And so I just took the measurements of her chair just to the different heights, whether it be from, you know, the floor to her feet rest, the floor to the top of her armrest, the floor to the pushing handles, and all of that. Like her tray was going to be a crucial part in the structure. So I just took measurements of all of that, and then I took those measurements and applied them to cutting out the big triangle to make sure that it would not touch the ground, but kind of be at the like just below where her feet pedals would sit, and then up high enough to kind of come here-ish on her when she would be sitting in her chair. So that's how I kind of came up with how big I was gonna make it. So I just took that down, put those measurements on, used a pencil and a ruler, and then started cutting that out with a box cutter. I have this really awesome, I call it the shank. I don't know what, my boyfriend had it, and I don't know what type of knife it is, but it is the best cardboard cutter. So I was able to rip through this stuff pretty quick, trying to keep those lines as straight as possible and as clean as possible. If you're doing a cardboard to hot glue situation for a costume, another good trick is if you are, you know, you cut it and you just don't like seeing those cardboard like ridges inside, you can take ribbon or rope or anything like that and fold it over whatever color you're going to paint it, or before you paint it. That way you kind of make those seams look a little cleaner, and I didn't mind it for mine, but that would be a way. And then you can paint over it to hide really where, you know, that happens. Sorry, my words are hard because I'm trying to gather how to explain how I did this. So I cut out 2 panels, and then I needed to cut out the top part. For that, I just put the panels up beside it to make sure, double check my measurements, and then I cut one that was slightly bigger on each side, maybe like a 1 to 2 inches on each side. That way I could fold it down and have something to glue to. So that's the most important part when you're doing any kind of structure like this, is that you cut larger than you need for whatever portion you're going to be gluing to. That way you have a lip and it's not ended up too small on accident or anything like that. So I left that lip, folded those down, and just started gluing it all together. And then it just folds up really nicely over her chair. From there, I started working on her wing for the front, and I kind of just put up a picture of a wing sprint car to kind of look at the portions and stuff. Obviously, it's going to be a little different because isn't an actual, and I'm not going to be putting that top wing down really tight over her chair so that you can still see her and she doesn't feel like locked in or anything. She feels comfortable. So I'm kind of just winging it. And I'm just doing that by cutting out 3 pieces of cardboard, 2 that are the same size for those sides and 1 for the like face of it. And then I'm just going to be using some cardboard to attach it to it. So I just took some, folded it up into like a little rectangle, like a little full enclosure, and then I hot glued all of the wings and things together and then glued it to the front of the car. From there, we needed to make this a little more structurally sound, so I picked up 2 broomsticks from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to use those as like the support and like the roll cage bars, and I'm going to just put those in the little loop, you know, that's at the top of the handle. I'm going to use that and wire it to the cardboard. So I just took a screwdriver, poked some holes where I needed the wire to go through, used some floral wire and wired those in. I did one down at the handle, one almost at the top, and just wired it in so it was not going to go anywhere. And then from there we can move on to the next portion, which is the back half of the car, which was the part that made me the most nervous. This big wing needs to fit on top, and it needs to be sturdy and stable to where it's not, you know, thrashing around or falling off or tipping her over. Like, safety is a big thing. So I needed to come up with a structure to make for this. So her handles, you know, they fold down like this, but you can flip them so they kind of curl up. I'm going to use that to my advantage. I'm going to turn them up, and then I'm going to fit a board right into that space. So I went into my wood stash, I pulled out some wood, so like a nice thick sturdy piece, 2 square dowel rods, and then another like really thin piece that I happen to have, and I'm going to use that to build what I need. So I'm going to cut down that nice big heavier piece after I get it in there to see the size that I need, and then I'm going to cut down those dowel rods and the other thin piece, and I'm going to create a structure that will stand up on those bars that I can glue the wing directly to. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to take the 2 dowel rods, and I'm going to screw them into the side of that big piece. I just did some measurements to make sure that they were the same height on either side. The part that goes down is not as important for me to be the same length because I'm just going to be gluing the cardboard to that. But the height that goes up needs to be the same size so that the wing sits even. So I screwed those in. I drilled a pilot hole first, and then I screwed those in, and then from there I was able to, well, then I spray painted it black, and then I added that thin layer piece on top, and I just screwed that straight down into those dowel rods very carefully because I didn't want them to split, and I did not want to catch my finger on a screw. So again, I spray painted that entire unit black. I didn't want it to really be noticeable. And then set it in there, and then with some bungee cords, I was able to, you know, secure it to the handles. Now from there, the 2 broomsticks that we have, when I set that down on her tray, I can pull it back into in between those 2 dowel rods, and then I can bungee cord that as well. So I took a drill bit and I drilled a hole through the tips of the brush. It would be the part that screws into the bristles, and I drilled holes so that a bungee cord could fit into those holes, and then I could strap it around and underneath her handles, and it would be secure and not go anywhere and not be wobbling too much. So bungee cords is what I'm using to hold all of the structure on and together. And then from there, I'm going to construct the rest of the car. For the side panels, I literally just did my measurements and cut out a piece kind of like in a L shape. I didn't have a piece big enough to make it one structure, so I did have to kind of like puzzle it together, but I just cut out a little window on each side, and then glued those 2 pieces together, and then those I'm going to glue to the actual structure after I get them painted. So I did that on both sides. I did mark on there, I wrote on there which side was which so I wouldn't get confused, and those panels are going to be meant to slide underneath, so whenever the top portion of the car comes on, in the end, I want the structure, the back big wing, you slide it down over the handles, and then the front part slides into place, you bungee it all together, and then those back panels will slide underneath and kind of secure it so that I can just tape it and make it one unit without making it absolutely impossible to move or put on top of her. So cut those out, and then for the big wing, again, I did some measuring on what I thought, you know, how wide it should be, how deep it should be, based on pictures that I saw, based on the size of her wheelchair and everything. Cut out 2 side panels, and then I cut them and glued them together. From there, we still need to make the wheels. So for the wheels, I'm using cardboard again, and I started out and I made the first set too small. So I had made a set of small front wheels and back wheels, and just used some bowls from my kitchen cabinets, and I traced it to have like a perfect circle. I cut those out, and then from there I used, you know, I saved my very long pieces of cardboard. I cut out, you know, how wide I wanted them to be, And then you can pre-roll it so that it will roll into a circle for you nice and easy. Well, nice and easy, easier. And then you take some hot glue and put those together. So for this, I'm putting the hot glue down on the long piece where I want it to go, and then I'm rolling that circle onto it and holding it in place until it dries and repeating that process over and over. So I'm making a line to where I can set that round piece straight down onto it, and then I'm also reinforcing it by doing a line of glue behind it, which would be the back of the wheel, which you would not see. So I did that over and over again until I got to the end. I made sure there was still a small part that would overlap so I could glue it together for more security. And then from there, I spray painted the face of that black, and then I used black duct tape to wrap the tire to kind of give it like that tread look. I did go over the face a little bit, and then I just painted them up with 2 different colors of metallic paint and tried to make it look like it was a real rim. And use metallic so it'd have that shine to it, and just give it some definition that was, you know, really needed to kind of make it look a little more realistic. And so I did that with all 4 tires, and then realized the small tires that I did were way too small. However, the back tires I made looked great as front tires. So I used those for that, and then repeated that process to make some giant tires for the back. From there, we needed to paint everything. So I picked up some spray paint from my local hardware store. I love Rust-Oleum, and I wanted this car to be like a purple color. So I found the one that I liked the best, and then I wanted it to be shiny and metallic. Off the top of my head, I don't remember the colors, but you'll see them here on the screen. And I just spray painted 2 coats of the purple spray, like magenta color, onto all of the pieces that were needed. And then the bottom of the giant wing for the top, I spray painted that black. Once all of that was ready, I went back in with the like color shifting sparkle thing that I had bought, and I really liked it, but it wasn't enough sparkle for me. So after that dried, I also went in with another glitter spray paint just to really make it pop and give it that extra little spunk that we're looking for. Once it was all dry, it was time to really start putting this car together. So I took the side panels, I glued them to that black structure so that that was all one piece. And then for the wing, I had made a little triangle out of cardboard, cut it down to the size that we need. Painted it black, you know, glue it together so it's just like a little triangle to help hold that wing at an angle to get it kind of shifted downward and matching the same angle as the car. And then from there, glued that all together and was ready to start doing some like labeling and things on it. Now I was just going to use my Cricut with some vinyl, but when Mommy went in and did that extra layer of glitter, it made it too gritty, and now the vinyl will not stick. So my plans to like have sponsors on there and all of this kind of went out the window because I ended up having to Mod Podge, basically glue the vinyl onto the piece just to get it through. I did not want to sit there and do that for all the tiny letters that I had originally planned out. So instead, we have her number 57, Kyle Larson. Shout out Rico Abreu. We really like him too. I like Buddy Kofoid. I think he's really, I don't know, he just makes me smile whenever he is on the TV. And then we also are a Haley Deegan fan. So those are our little winged sprint car people that we follow, but mainly being Kyle Larson. And so 57 is her number. I did some racing stripes. I did her name in like a Halloween font. And then PKS, if you don't know, my daughter does have a very rare syndrome. She's one of less than 500 people in the world who have Pallister-Killian syndrome, and she is our absolute miracle. So we put that in as our top wing sponsor just to kind of spread awareness, and just glued it all together. And then whenever it was all on there structurally, obviously I had to attach the tires, and to do that I just folded a piece of cardboard over, cut some slits so that it would be able to not stay flat, like round itself. And then I used hot glue to attach that to the side of the car. So this whole car is held together with glue and a little bit of wire and some hopes and dreams. So that's what I did. I Mod Podged on the vinyl and kind of put it all together. And let me tell you, she was all smiles and giggles, and I can't wait to show you these pictures and a couple videos of her drifting around. That was the big inspiration for this, is she loves, my boyfriend will drift her through the stores all the time, and she just cracks up and thinks it's so funny. So we knew this would be a really fun costume for her and make our hearts so happy. So I hope that this helps you if you are trying to make something similar. I'm happy to try to answer questions or give guidance down in the comments, because I know it's not super detailed. Like I said, measurements I'm not sure would help, because everybody's chair or whatever mobilization is going to be different. So this kind of gives you a basic idea of how to build the structure, or what I did to build the structure and what worked for us. And then again, I can try to help with any comments or anything like that in the comments below. But please give this video a thumbs up if you think I did a great job on this. This took me like 18 plus hours. It was worth every minute to see her smile and light up. It was her first year getting to go trick-or-treating. So it was such a magical year for us. We had a blast. I was gonna get her like a little cute little fire suit, but they're just so expensive for her to wear one time. So I just put her in like a plaid dress with a little headband, and she was a checkered flag. It's fine. Yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, thumbs up if you think I did a great job on this, or if this video was helpful for you. Comment below, whatever you want to say. Tell me how cute my kid is, or ask me any questions that I could answer. Give me a happy Halloween, leave a pumpkin, a checkered flag, whatever. Get some comments rolling on this video, and subscribe if you're new here. We would love to have you here on the crafting journey. We get into a little bit of everything. I appreciate you. I'm going to take you in for a closer look, and I'll see you next time.